Welcome to more Gran Turismo Sport Specialtatin. Today we're featuring a race that's actually pretty cotton picking recent. It's not the pretty cotton picking recentest, it ain't this week's races, but it is last week's, and last week's races are a bit more relevant than, well, a race from last year. That's good. Let's hope the racing is good as well. To be exact, this racing is in 300 picked between a few of them, sort of kind of like Gran Turismo 6 quick matches, if y'all remember them. I do and would rather be doing them right now, but nonetheless, this, and this is kind of like it. It's a pick between 1990s Japanese production cars in the N300 class. Pretty much you just have to pick the best one, which in this particular case is the Nissan Skyline R32. Why it's that way, I don't really know, but it is. In Gran Turismo 6, generally when quick matches such as this happened, it was the Honda NSX that was best. Which makes sense, because essentially that's a light car that was more meant to compete with a Ferrari than a Nissan, but in this game, yeah, it's the old heavy Nissan that's the best one. But I can't complain too much, because it's four-wheel drive, so I did pretty decent off the line. All in all, I think my driving style would suit any of the 90s Japanese cars fairly equally. They are all willing to get somewhat loose, but they're not downright undrivable either, and they're not slow to the point of it's boring to drive, so that's good. In general, I'm better with slower cars, but that slower car, I seemed like I was perfectly fine with, because look where I braked, folks. Look where I caught, pick, and brake. If y'all have done this race, y'all know that you can pretty much do this upcoming turn darn near full throttle, if not completely. So, aka, you can make that turn fine at 85. I'm slowing down pretty cotton picking early, and at this point I'm already at 82. This car already has a penalty anyway, so, in theory, it's already been known to be racing dirty. So, me being lenient towards this car is, if anything, rewarding for me, because it's already apparently done something dirty, so therefore, punting it out of the way more than anything is saving me it trying to wreck me in theory. But instead, I back off early, because I could easily do this turn a good 5 miles an hour quicker. But, no, I just barely tap this car, and it surely is barely. I lose a whopping 6 miles an hour from that. I mean, for Jiminy Cricket 6, there's more variation than 6 miles an hour when there's draft in NASCAR at major races. If you just get into a draft with NASCAR and it's just connecting to it, generally there's about that much variation in speed. Drafting in NASCAR is required. And this was me being nice. But yet I get a penalty from that. Wait for it, folks. And also, this is a thing, too. Gran Turismo Sport still has delayed penalties. This is not a penalty whatsoever, because if anything, I was being nice. If I would have known I'd been penalized there, I would not have slowed down whatsoever. In fact, I would have gone completely full throttle and slammed him right out of the way. Because if they're going to penalize me anyway, I might as well get my money's worth. But I had no idea they were going to penalize me here, because they shouldn't have whatsoever. In theory, I could have slowed down more, but in reality, that car behind me ain't that far off either. So if I just downright check up and slam on the brakes right now, I'm going to get rear-ended, and because Gran Turismo Sport physics, that would have made me going 90 miles an hour, when that car is only going 80, which makes no sense whatsoever, but it's been proven time and again that still happens. But if y'all want more rant on issues like this, check out Rantatin, my second channel that's pretty much for this type of content, but completely uncensored. Yes, in theory, I made this more as a plug for my second channel, but there is more racing to come. In this video, but it's actually a two-part clip, because this was such a heinous thing that I had to actually pause it here. This is downright intolerable. This is why I'm never ever going back to my main account, but this is why y'all can go to my second channel, Rantatin, because stuff like this is on that channel, meant to be a full video, and completely uncensored. So if y'all enjoyed this type of content, but more extreme, and completely to this type of content, check out Rantatin. The link is in the description. But anyway, on to the actual specialtatin and not downright rantating. That's an incidental penalty, but now I have to deal with it. And by I mean automatic penalty deletion thing. But again, check out rantating. For this is a specialtatin on the main channel. Hopefully. I'm gonna have to do a special amount of driving though to be able to catch up. As of now, I'm using all my bottle ketchup, and that'll probably be a penalty as well. But honestly, I pushed that driver off purposely to see if it's a penalty. And guess what, folks? I'll go back again, so you can see that was pretty cotton picking on purpose. Because before, the driver in front of me was maybe 3 or 4 feet in front of me. At this point, that driver is a good 10 or so feet in front of me, so therefore I have that much more time to react. And I'm having to slow down anyway for this turn. When the previous turn, I did a courtesy slowdown I didn't need to do. This turn, I already have to slow down anyway, and I have more time to react. So therefore, I'm slamming this driver out of the way on purpose, because I wanted to see what would happen with the penalty. In theory, if incidental contact that was me being nice gave me a penalty, this would be at least 2 or 3 times worth of penalty, because this was on purpose. No penalty whatsoever. Granted, the car behind didn't end up getting as messed up as the car before, but the car before was going way slower, and already had a penalty to begin with. So just because the car before messed up more than the car then, shouldn't mean that it deals with my penalty differently. Why in the blue blazes would I get penalized for the other driver's mistake? Oh wait, I've been making that call since darn near Gran Turismo 5, essentially, but whatever, now at least I might be able to get to actual racing instead of just dealing with the stupidity of the racing. Can I have fun with racing? My last video in general was fun, but again, that video was literally from last year. This is actually the first specialtatin I've done of a race this year, and I don't think that's an over-exaggeration from what I can remember. It's kind of sad, but it's definitely true. And it's also a truism right yonder, though, as I am still catching up to second. First might be gone and a half, folks, because while first is probably where I can look, first is not even quite 4 seconds ahead. Passing 2 cars in a way that the game doesn't hate me for it, aka random, and being able to still gain that 4 seconds is darn near impossible unless first makes a mistake, but no one's near first, so that probably ain't gonna happen. So I'm gonna do like I did last time and just barely touch some drivers out of the way, but on purpose. There wasn't much contact there, the other drivers really didn't get all that messed up there, but there's still no penalty there. I don't care if the drivers get more or less messed up or not. In my opinion, if you're purposely trying to hit someone out of the way, aka carrying more speed into the turn than what you can make the turn, it should be a cotton picking penalty. I'm gonna abuse this every cotton picking time if it's there, especially when I've been abused by the penalty system before. Is what you can see on rantating, but I've already done that plug, so I ain't really gonna plug that. But for now, I just need to plug away and gain some time on first. Because I don't feel any remorse for slowing those drivers down just barely. Because ultimately, I mean, as you can see, that driver stood right on my tail. I slowed them down by maybe 3/4 of a second, and they were still battling before. I mean, as y'all can see in my rearview mirror, they're still pretty much battling now. There's a slight gap, but I would say that's still only about half a second of gap, maybe, between them. Before, yeah, there may have been only like 3/10 between them, but honestly, I hit both drivers about an equal amount. It's just, again, I don't care about how the other driver recovers from the initial hit. If I hit one driver more, it should be more of a penalty. It just makes logical sense. But honestly, what doesn't make too much logical sense is that despite having a clear track, I'm still not gaining all that much time. Yeah, folks, it seems like it's a common occurrence with this particular race that drivers in the actual race can run faster than their qualifying times. What seems odd, because in general, online racing seems to have been more than just me proving it, but quite a few people proving it, especially a lot of the best, that in general, your car seems to have maybe 1 or 2% less grip in a main race than what you do offline. Which, granted, that's almost nothing, but still 1% of time in racing is, you can see it a bit. But in this particular thing, it seems like they're slightly faster than what can be done offline, which is very much odd. I'm faster right now because I'm in a draft, but it seems like leaders also having a bit faster of a time. And I'm not just saying that as a change in general, because it seems like this race was more of an oddity that usually don't happen. I mean in this race, but like this week's race, like this particular race B, I think it was for last week. The stat happened for all the races I did then. But that don't matter now. I have the draft, so I need to make something done. And you know what? I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make something done. So, am I done at this point? No. I'm getting her done, though. And, well, that worked. Honestly, at this point, more than anything, I sort of kind of wish that didn't. Because at least then, I could have a shred of respect for PD, because they give the penalty to who deserves it. But time and again, I saw that they don't. And, I mean, look, it's obvious they tell something's wrong there, because they give me a negative SR. Granted, they give me a negative SR if a fly lands on my car as well. But still, the negative SR is deserved. But I don't care about that whatsoever. It's the penalties more that I care about now, because as I said, I don't care about driver and sportsman separating anymore, especially on an alternate account. An actual penalty in the race itself, by default, you care about that because the game makes you slow down. So, therefore, it's obvious that that's something to care about. As long as this continues, I have no respect for playing GT Sport, and I'm going to continue doing this time and again, because I guarantee it's going to continue time and again me getting BS penalties. If y'all don't like it, I mean, wreck me. If y'all can catch me, wreck me. If I'm catching you, also wreck me. But y'all have to do it in a way that you figure out how to not get a penalty. I've sort of kind of got the system worked out. I mean, I'll do a general quick tutorial for it. From what I can tell, if you're already in a turn, if you're carrying a slight bit too much of a turn, as long as you have an angle on the car and it's not directly just ramming them completely off the road, if you're hitting one of their back quarter panels and not just right smack dab in the middle, you're generally good. You slow down a bit when you hit that car, so therefore you can angle into the turn better, especially when both cars are still turning at the same time. And then that car gains a bit of the speed that you hit them with, so they gain the speed that you had before, which generally when you're doing this, you are on the inside more times than not. So therefore that car on the outside doesn't have enough time to react, so therefore we generally skid off. Sometimes the results are better or worse than others, but in general it skids off to the point of it either has to slow way down, or it's using so much track that either way you still get around even though you lose a bit of momentum from hitting that car. So either way, that works out in your favor, and you don't get a penalty for it, even though it's obvious you're doing it. There's a tutorial. If y'all want to wreck me, there's a tutorial of how to wreck me. It's on, folks, it's on. If PD's gonna allow it to be on, by golly, it's cotton picking on. This would be fun, folks, this would be fun. Because I don't mind dirty racing, especially when PD doesn't mind dirty racing, and you know what, folks? I didn't even mention the Dirty and Nerds Racing League once for this video, but this was the most Dirty and Nerds Racing League of any of the first challenges I did. I didn't even necessarily call this the first challenge, because really it kind of wasn't. I didn't run a qualifying lap. But there's not tons of cars in the field. Yeah, usually these have 12. And I started like 8 because of cars having a lower driver rating that were behind me that also didn't run on. So, well, that's that, folks. Broken penalties, and you can race dirty and get away with it, but when you're attempting to race clean and even being courtesy, slowing down more than you need to for a turn, you get a penalty. But when you don't slow down for a turn, purposely hitting someone, you don't get a penalty. At least the racing came down to the wire. But honestly, the only reason the racing came down to the wire is because I got BS'd in the beginning. I had to BS to make the race come down to the wire at the end as well. Such a lovely job PD is doing with the Real Driving Simulator. Sponsored by Real Things now. Like Toyota and FIA and Red Bull and stuff. How can their sponsors allow this stuff to still happen? I mean, I'm blaming PD more than anyone for this BS. But still. If I was at FIA and I saw stuff like this going on, even if it's not with the best of the best drivers, even if it's just in general competition, I would be a bit angry. I would say something, Because a lot of the time, it's the people still around, no matter how good or bad they are, that are actually watching this main competition. If you're still around at this point, you're a pretty seasoned Gran Turismo player. Even if you're not the best, you still probably would watch the best at this point if you're still doing racing. So if you're still doing this, and then you're still watching the best, you know that the best can get away with doing this, because you've done it yourself. This downright can't happen. But as long as it does, I'm going to keep on making it happen in my favor if I need to. I don't care anymore, because PD doesn't care anymore. I'm just waiting to GT7. I'm going to have a ball of a time until then if PD is going to allow it to happen. Because in general, all GT Sport has done, for the most part, has made me angry. I don't care about making others angry if PD themselves are making others angry. Gran Turismo 7 better be an awesome game, is all I'm saying to make up for all this. This GT Sport, at this point it's obvious it's broken beyond repair. But if you want to hear more about how it is, y'all know where to go. In the description, go there. Go there. New channel? Kind of sort of worth a yeehaw. I mean, it's a new channel with content and all that and such. But this stuff happening is the exact opposite of a yeehaw. But I'm going to make the best of a bad opportunity. I'll say that.